Hello, hello, and welcome to Be Your Future Self. Meet the person you aspire to be. I know that sounds like a lot. It sounds like something that's not possible, but I am my future self. I met me 5 years ago, and yet here I am today. Why? Because of Peter Oppermann. I'm so excited to introduce you to him today. I want to just tell you a little bit about Peter. I met him through an underwear model and a cinematographer 8 years ago. How LA is that? He came to the studio and he was talking about future self. And I just kind of learned a little bit about future self from someone we had on here before, Johnny O'Callaghan. But Peter was practically devoting his entire life to it, to this work. And he even opened up something he calls the Future Self Institute. Peter also does so many interesting meditations on the Unplug app. We were just talking about one that I love, which is finding your spirit animal. I am an eagle. You can find out what you are afterwards. And I love doing these coaching calls because we get to actually meet you. I would love to see your faces if you want to show the camera. I love meeting the community of the people who are using the Unplug app, people who aren't using the Unplug app yet, who want to be using it, and to show you how we can share this and ripple it out to the entire planet. Everyone can meet their future self. Everyone can be the person they aspire to be. When I remember that if I think it, I can be it, and I actually put my energy and intention towards where I want to go, things seem to move. But when I don't, when I forget, and this happens a lot, like all of us, right? It gets a little stagnant. So enough about that. I'd like to introduce you to the fabulous Peter Oppermann. Hi, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Susie. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Well, I'm not sure how many people have ever meditated with you, but we have so many questions. We have a lot to go over. But I'd like to first for you to kind of talk about um, how we can be the person we aspire to be using future self techniques and meditation. Talk a little bit about that if you can.
Sure. So, anybody familiar with limiting beliefs? Like when we get up in the morning, you know, self-doubt. Is this ever gonna work out? Am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? Comparing myself with others. Anybody familiar with those kind of thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of them, honestly. And so that's kind of the natural state of mind of the human condition. That's how we are naturally operate in our life until we start to cultivate, until we start to work out our minds through meditation to first become aware of these unchecked limiting beliefs that we all have. We're not going to go right now into where these limiting beliefs are coming from, but we can trace them back to, let's call it, early childhood experiences that we all have. So until we start to kind of go into a mind gym, and Unplug meditation is my favorite mind gym in the world, with all these wonderful other teachers and teachings that we have, and Susie at the helm as our eagle, her spirit animal, until we start to really invest into a cultivation of our mind, we are a little bit left at our own devices. So what can we do to address these limiting beliefs that we all have is by literally starting to cultivate an enticing alternative, something better, something superior, something also more authentic to our full potential, what we are capable of. And that's really where the future self comes in as a wonderful inner compass, like your inner North Star, a guiding light, a best friend, a mentor, someone who really believes in your capacity, in your innate goodness, in your capacity to live a beautiful, fulfilling life. And so having clarity about your future self is just like an alternative. If you feel you're being pulled down into old patterns of thinking, you just pause, connect with your future self, and then you have a new alternative that you can then start to make decisions that are in alignment with your future self.
How did you get into this work? Where did this all come from? And now I know that can you talk a little bit about how you're traveling around the world now teaching this? Would love to talk about the beginnings and where you are now with it.
Yeah, I haven't checked the Guinness World of Records. I don't know if they have a category of, but I think I'm pretty high up there. We did somehow, like with my team, a little bit of an estimate, and we came up, if we count digital views, I think I can say that I've introduced either directly in person or through digital recordings over 10,000 people to their future self. So that's really something I'm very joyful to share. And I got into this work really, I've been on this meditation journey for decades. I want to see almost like almost 3 decades now. I started to meditate. And the moment I discovered mindfulness meditation, I had this desire. So how can I make this accessible? How can we wake up as a species, as a human family, especially in these kind of transformational or challenging times that we are in, where there's so many kind of problems, once we open up the news, come to us. So how can we actually find an efficient way to meditate and use our innate capacities for goodness and live a healthy, wholesome life? And when I came across this future self meditation through one of my teachers, Arjuna Ardag, I thought to myself, well, this is such a gift to offer to people, to introduce them to their authentic future self and give them an alternative to their current reality or a past that may have been challenging. So I was introduced to it. Then I started, actually, it's a funny story. The first person ever tried out a future self meditation was over the phone with my mom in Germany. I'm from Germany originally. My mom lives in Göttingen. So I tried it out on her and said, Mom, do you have an unfulfilled wish, a question about her future? And she was in her 80s at the time. And bless her heart, she said, Peter, my life is beautiful, but the only question is, will I die peacefully and in the presence of my loved ones, right? What a beautiful question to ask. And then I asked her, are you open to trying this out, to meet your future self in that situation? And she honestly said, well, let me think about that. I think I have to kind of prepare myself. And then a week later, when we called the next time, said, Peter, now I'm ready. So I did the future meditation with her. And lo and behold, she saw herself walking down a hallway, opened a door, saw herself on her deathbed, and peacefully, like lovingly being surrounded by her children, her loved ones, and then actually reporting a very interesting kind of passing on into another realm experience. So after that, she was very grateful to have that peace of mind. And after that, I thought to myself, wow, if this meditation works over the phone with my mother in Germany, I think we are onto something. And that's when I started to teach this with groups and one-on-one and build a whole little empire, the Future Self Institute, around this method.
I love that story so much. And I want to pause for a second. We have over 100 people on here. And I'd like to ask all of you to just put in the chat a yes or a no. Have you met your future self yet? Yes or no? No. Oh my gosh, we're going to be introducing everyone here. No, but I want to. Amy Spencer's met hers. This is very exciting. Look how many people have not yet met their future self. And there are some people who actually have met their future self. And I have to tell you, I've met my future self probably about 25 times because I love that meditation so much. And every time I'm a little bit different. Can you talk about the stories of, the benefits that other people, your clients, and obviously you can read the reviews on the Unplug app. There's a lot of great stories there too of people who've met their future self and what has come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. A great question. So, by having traveled the world and taught this meditation in so many places and most consistently at Unplug meditation, I actually happen to travel along each time I lead a meditation. It's kind of a little perk as a meditation teacher that you got to reap the benefits of your own meditation. So I've met my future self countless times. And I would say there is a certain consistency and a difference every time. So there's a certain consistency that also people report. For me, it's just a man who lives from his heart. He's guided by love, ultimately. That's kind of the essence of my future self. But how that shows up is a little bit different each time. And I want to say it depends on several factors. And it's basically like a good coach who keeps reminding you about your essence, but nudges you each time, puts the same story in a slightly different context about what you need to hear in that particular moment.
Sorry, what are the benefits from people who've done this work? Because we were talking a little bit about that, and I would love to kind of share with our audience some of the stories that you've heard from your clients and the people at the studio who've done this or on the app after doing the future self, what has actually happened for some of them.
Yeah, so where should I start with that? I mean, sometimes when I go to Whole Foods in Venice, where I used to teach a lot also, people used to come towards me and said, Peter, you wouldn't believe what just happened, what I saw in my meditation. And I think the most beautiful examples are women who saw themselves as either pregnant or having a child, of that actually happening. So there are a bunch of future self children. I'm not taking credit that they wouldn't have had that joy regardless of the meditation, but it primed them and kind of prepared them. Some of them have tried for a very long time, and then it finally happened. So I also work now a lot with entrepreneurs or people who want to change their careers, kind of change out of the 9-to-5 matrix and live a life and a career on their own terms, and also create a positive impact. So we call them futurepreneurs, business builders, entrepreneurs who want to build their businesses inspired by their future self. So now we're having dozens of examples of freshly minted entrepreneurs who start really cool businesses that their future selves are showing them, the inner futurepreneurs, becoming all sorts of cool ways to make a living while doing what you love and having a positive impact. Kind of the most common word that I heard that this work is life-changing, especially if you dedicate yourself and do this practice in an ongoing way for about, I like to lead groups for about 8 weeks. And then if you do a future self morning meditation and then take an action, something that your future self is showing you, she or he is actually doing, and doing this in a group with accountability, you wouldn't believe how quickly your reality, your physical reality, is starting to change.
I love that. I want to just show everybody really quickly before we go on to the next step where they can find you. So if you go into the Unplug app, under the Discovery tab right here, you will be able to see Peter's meditations. So aligning with your future self, find your spirit animal, enhance yourself, brain massage, which is an incredible one, transformation, meet your future self, couple German meditations in German, and make your curiosity a career is a conversation that we had where Peter talks about, his career and how he came to be. And it's a fascinating podcast if you want to listen to this afterwards. So this is one of the things. And if you want to introduce other people to their future self, all you need to do is click on this, and I'm gonna pause it. Okay. And you'll see right here is a share button. And when I click that share button, I can message it and other people can meet their future selves for free. So if you have the Unplug app, I highly recommend that you try it. If your friends want to use the Unplug app for free for 30 days, just click on your profile and you can share this Unplug 30-day guest pass, which is free, no credit card, and an easy way for people to experience Peter Oppermann's meditation. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing on that. Peter, I thought it'd be fun if before we dive into the questions, which are honestly the most incredible questions, I was reading through them. I want to know the answers to all of these. If we could do a really short future self meditation live with you.
Sure, absolutely. How much time do we have?
I would probably, how quickly can we get to meet our future self?
Well, I would say, I can guarantee, obviously, if we have, the more time we have, the deeper the experience will be.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe in the interest of time, we can bring it down to 5 minutes.
That would be
work?
amazing.
Yeah, do you guys have 5 minutes?
Yes. And for all of you who typed no in the chat, if you do not see your future self on this one, the 31-minute future self meditation on the Unplug app, you'll for sure see yourself there. So let's begin.
Could I possibly share my sound with you, or?
I think so. I'll have Jelena. And by the way, I just want to reintroduce everybody to Jelena Wallace, who is the brains behind these amazing calls. So thank you, Jelena, for everything that you do.
Of course. Just made you co-host, Peter, if you want to.
Amazing. Super. Yeah, let's do this here.
Oh, and if you're driving, please do not do this while please don't close your eyes. Keep your eyes on the road. Eyes open. You could save it for the next step.
All right, beautiful friends. Hope that's okay that I'm sharing this video.
It's great.
Okay, wonderful. So what you're seeing here is a breathing pacer where we as a community can start to breathe together and create a powerful group field. So as the sphere is expanding, let's inhale, take a deep breath in, and as the sphere is contracting, take a deep breath out. Let's breathe in and out. Find your own rhythm. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. So if you're comfortable at home in a safe space, I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a long breath out. Let your exhale be long and slow to shift your nervous system into a state of balance and peace. As you exhale, allow your face to soften. As you exhale, drop your shoulders. As you exhale, soften the abdomen. As you exhale, allow your whole body to relax. Now imagine there is a gate in front of you, a gate into the future. Allow that gate to open and step through that gate, finding yourself in the land of the future, the land of infinite possibilities. And as you look ahead towards the horizon, you notice a person walking towards you. A person with a particular glow and presence. And as this person is coming closer and closer from the future, walking towards you, you're starting to realize who it is. Your future self, smiling at you, so happy to see you. Notice their shape, the kind of clothes your future self is wearing. A detail, a piece of jewelry, a tattoo. Your future self is holding an object, something that represents their lifestyle. And then simply engage in a conversation and ask your future self, how did you get here? How did you become who you are? And listen. How did you become who you are? And if you like, ask your future self for a piece of advice. Keep breathing. Then find a way to thank your future self, walk closer, give them a hug, heart to heart. And all of a sudden it is as if your future self and you are merging, becoming one. Allowing you to feel your future self from within. Breathing like your future self is breathing. And notice how good that feels. And then gently bring the presence of your future self with you back into the here and the now. Into this body of yours. Into the room that you're in, and still feeling the subtle presence of your future self, Notice how you feel. And then gently start to wiggle your toes and fingers. Maybe stretch your arms overhead. And when you're ready, blink your eyes open. Welcome back.
Wow, that was unbelievable. I saw my future self. I would love to hear in the chat really quickly. Did you see your future self? Were you able to learn anything interesting? We would love to hear from you. Please feel free to put it in the chat really quick before we dive into your questions. Yes, yes. I saw from a third person more so. That's cool. I just joined. What's going on? We just did a beautiful future self meditation. Yes, I love that purple breathing machine. I love that too. What is that?
It's a breathing pacer.
That was so good. I'm feeling really happy and integrated with my future self. Yes, thanks, Peter. That was awesome. I saw myself as an author. That's awesome. I meditate every single day since 1979. Go, Joel. And I just entered a new dimension. Okay. Could we get a better review than that? Okay, these are incredible. I love reading them. Peter, well done. I don't see anyone saying that they didn't see their future self. So for all of you who had never met your future self, I mean, and that was just a 5-minute meditation. Imagine what can happen in 31 minutes. So I would invite you to go deeper afterwards. And if we are ready, let's go through some of these amazing questions. What do you think, Peter?
Let's go for it.
Okay. I want some guidance discovering my purpose so I can feel fulfilled and make money. Haley.
Yeah, that's such a good question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Statistics say that 65% of people are actually dissatisfied at work. So finding one's purpose and finding a way to express our purpose in the work we do, where we spend so many hours, 90,000 hours on average on a lifetime. So that's a really beautiful intention to have, to find a purposeful vocation and ideally maybe also do good in the world, right? That's, I think, what the world needs. So for this particular purpose in particular, I find the future self meditation so helpful because in a way, by definition, your future self is already engaged in purposeful work. So we could do another meditation by meeting your future self who has found their purpose and has figured out a way how to monetize, how to make a living doing their purpose. So just maybe take that as a comfort that potential, that possibility already exists in the future for you. And all what you need to do is to build a bridge from where you are into that possible you. And then by connecting and gaining confidence and clarity, you can then actually start to take the actual steps, because just meditation alone is just a preparation. But then to make things happen, we still need to show up and make also sometimes new and uncomfortable choices to get us to the kind of life that we desire. So the future self is a wonderful guide, coach, lighthouse to can show you the way. And then with that confidence and clarity, sometimes you want also a coach or a cohort to support you, then to take the appropriate steps. But it's absolutely possible. I believe it's everybody's birthright to know their purpose and, if they so choose, make a living doing so.
And it's a great way to actually discover what your purpose actually is, because sometimes you are surprised when you do this meditation. I know one person asked here, what if I can't visualize it? What are tips to help people who have difficulty with visualization be able to visualize this?
Okay, so we are all different and we all have different strengths and capacities. So some of us are by nature very visual. Some of us are more feeling or haptic people. So we have different doorways, portals, how we perceive our environment, how we receive data, so to speak, right? And some people just don't, they have other strengths. And then, so for instance, instead of seeing something, maybe you have a strong physical sensation or an emotional sensation, like your heart opens up when you feel the presence of your future self, or you see colors. Some people hear music. So see what is your natural strength and superpower and just go with that. So that's tip number one. Tip number two sounds a little bit basic, but you have all the right to make it up. It's actually one of the techniques of strengthening your intuition. Two ways is to go with the first impulse, that whatever arises, with clarity when you have clarity. But in every journey, there will be moments of great clarity and of kind of a fuzzy signal. And in those times of a fuzzy signal, you have the permission to simply make it up and to trust whatever you're making up is exactly what you're meant to experience.
Ooh, I love that. What tools prove most useful? For example, vision boards, journaling, goals, achievements, etc.
Yeah, so basically through the future self meditation or any kind of visualization, it's a wonderful portal or bridge to get in touch with our inner knowing, because deep down we all have the answers inside of ourselves. So meditation is a wonderful way to get in touch with our inner truth. And the future self meditation is one of many ways to get in touch with our inner truth, our higher self, whatever language you're comfortable to use. We all have wisdom and knowledge inside of us. So, but the crux is, the challenge is that during the meditation, you may get moments of great clarity, but then it's like a dream, it's present, but then it kind of dissolves very quickly, like a dream. So you want to capture the essence of your meditation. And there are several ways to capture that. And I think the most authentic one is through an immediate journaling practice, to write it down, what you have seen, what your future self has told you. And there are certain prompts that you can use, how to turn the insights of your meditation into a powerful inner dialogue as you write. And the process of writing actually will reveal more details that will reveal themselves as you write them down. So that's step number two. Number one, to have a journal practice to manifest what you've seen during your meditation. Number two is to make a commitment to take one small action that's in alignment with what you have seen in your meditation. So if you're maybe sometimes I encourage people to just start to wear what their future self is wearing. My future self oftentimes, kind of cliche, but he comes in a nice white linen shirt. So I
That's
like
so
to wear a
weird.
nice.
So did mine.
There you go.
We're twinning.
Yeah. Good taste, Susie. So, start to wear what your future self is wearing. Someone said, she has this beautiful red scarf. So, she went out, got a beautiful red scarf, and then things started to happen quickly. So you can also use AI for those of you who are AI friendly. I find it fascinating to use visualization tools with AI, with Midjourney, and start to build a vision board of putting scenes together of what I've seen in my meditation. And then because there's seeing is believing, And neurologically speaking, you're literally starting to create new neural pathways in your brain if you do this kind of mental rehearsal. And then your brain becomes a map of the future, where it becomes easier to attract and manifest and have the kind of positive thoughts that your future self is having.
There's some great questions also in the chat, so I'm going to kind of go over since they're live here. My future self didn't look anything like me. It was a different person. It created a bit of a disconnect for me, but somehow I still knew it was me. Is this common to see someone else completely?
Yeah, so I mean, all things can happen. I mean, I've seen myself as a homeless guy one day. I've seen myself as this warrior in arms. Once I was already dead, I was kind of going a little bit too far into the future, I guess. So, anything can happen, but I believe everything happens for a reason. So if we had the time, I would love to hear how your future self showed up. I'm sure there's some kind of call it a soul message there, why your future self or why you choose your future self to appear in such a particular way.
And that's beautiful too, because Peter is also on Instagram. Peter, what's your Instagram in case anybody has deeper dive questions or
That's my name, Peter Oppermann, with an underscore in the beginning.
Okay, and he'll answer you. He's pretty amazing like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is the goal to see it in the first person? I tend to have difficulties doing so and generally see in third person. Maybe that means I'm somewhat disconnected from myself.
Okay, so third person means you're like a witness where you see yourself and your future self, right? Kind of
That's
that perspective.
Yes,
I
she's
imagine.
saying yes. Stephanie's
Okay,
saying
wonderful. Yeah, that's actually, I think, very advanced because you're choosing to engage in your meditation from the witness point. So it kind of almost, beyond personal. So I find that actually very interesting. And because that gives you also the advantage of seeing both your present self and your future self engaging with each other. I would probably imagine that if you do this meditation a few more times, that will also shift and morph.
I found myself having intrusive thoughts that kept distracting me from the freedom of the meditation taking over. I kept trying to insert the things going on presently in my life into the scene I was seeing with my future self. Any advice on how to stop this?
Yeah, so again, it's very normal. I admit that also, even if I sit in front of Unplug and look very serene, I have thoughts about, what to cook for dinner, or, my mind is oftentimes, going in all sorts of directions, but we can collect ourselves. Each breath is an opportunity to come back to the present moment. So if you get lost, don't worry, don't judge yourself. It's just what the human condition does. Our minds are compared to monkeys jumping around trees. So don't expect to have like a completely 100% focus. But that's the beauty of a guided meditation. Like when your mind is gone off, just use a language, a cue to bring yourself back to the present moment and back to the story that we are telling.
There will be a recording of this, Book Nook Tutor. If you want to watch it, it's under the live coaching calls section on the Unplug app, and you can find it in the search bar of Unplug. I'll show you how to find it afterwards. This is a good question. They're all great questions, but how do I bridge the life I'm currently living with the life I desire? How do I find my purpose and live life through that lens?
Beautiful. Okay, so welcome to the human condition. That is basically by definition that we have a current reality, our present self, that we are all living right now in this moment. And then we have a future self or a desired outcome that differs from where we currently are. So there's a delta, there is a certain gap. Whatever we desire, differs from where we currently are. And that's actually a good thing. And you can work, I like to call this creative tension. Imagine it's like a rubber band that is pulled between your current reality and where you want to be. And this creative tension is actually something that you can work with to pull, like with that rubber band, your current reality closer towards where you want to be, by kind of staying committed to your outcome and starting to take actions that are in alignment with the outcome you want to create.
Okay, this is a good question too. How do I become my best self while dealing with tragedy and being a caregiver? Or any challenging job, I would say.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're not your best self, how do you be your best self?
Yeah, I mean, what is our best self to begin with? I think when you're a caregiver, or if we are challenged with a certain life circumstance, I would say those situations, it's not so much to become someone different than to be fully present, be really here and now. And let's show up in our full humanity, do the best that we can, but really showing up in the present moment. And maybe your future self can give you a hint to have a little bit more patience, to be a better listener, to manage your emotions a little bit more skillfully. Whatever ways will make this current situation more bearable for yourself and other people. So you can use your future self a little bit as a guide or as a good friend who's also maybe helping you to set boundaries and say, this is enough. I've done my best that I could, but now I need time for myself to replenish myself. So
And I would also add that, being your best self is giving yourself a little self-care before you even start your day. So anyone has 5 minutes for themselves a day. So if you can wake up in the morning before you even get out of bed and meditate and then start your day, you are already going to be starting your day on the right foot. So you will start going in the direction of being your best self. And I know that because I love this quote from Travis Elliott, who says, when someone says to him, "How do I know my meditation's working?" He's like, "Stop doing it." And when you stop doing it, you'll easily meet your worst self. We don't want that. We want you to meet your best self. So meditating a little bit and giving yourself some self-care, especially if you're out there caring for others, is essential, in my opinion. Okay. How can I make decisions that will bring me closer to the life of my dreams? I know that my desires will become a reality, but it's a matter of timing, and I struggle with that.
Yeah, so I like to use the metaphor of being a radio station, with the thoughts we think, with the actions we do, with the language we use, we are sending out constantly kind of a ripple effect out into the universe. When we say nice things, we get certain responses. If we say angry things, we get different responses. So then our environment responds and will bring us reactions from other people, and also create a particular type of circumstances as a result of our own speech, thoughts, and actions. So the more consistent we are, imagine you are this radio station. Imagine what kind of song are you sending out? What kind of message are you broadcasting that will come back to you in an amplified way? So if you want to create certain outcomes in your life, become that person that is already living the kind of life you want to live. So in a way, kind of embodying that and doing that consistently. So if you are consistently acting in alignment with the kind of outcomes you want to create, you will inevitably bring those outcomes to you.
Beautiful. What is your best tip and advice for creating a habit of consistency? I'm going to just add that. I mean, obviously, I would use the Unplug meditation app, because if you do it first thing in the morning and you create a streak and you make a commitment to yourself where you're going to do it every single day, you will then feel yourself starting to look forward to it every single day. And you will never want to miss another meditation again. But it doesn't happen overnight. You have to do, sometimes we're not even going to want to meditate. Sometimes you're going to want to do everything but it is those times when you really should force yourself to meditate, because then you'll always thank yourself that you did. So giving yourself, making a commitment to you and keeping your promise. Set the goal and exceed the expectation. Keep that one promise. You promise things to everybody else and you always, are showing up for that. So just promise something to yourself and show up for yourself. That is my best tip on that. Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful. Maybe also with the app, you can make it also easy for you to maybe have the app already ready on your phone. Like when you put your phone away in the evening, is that, open your app, choose a meditation in the evening. And then when you wake up in the morning, is that all you need to do is press a button and you start your day on a positive note. Also, the science of habit formation says that building a new habit really comes through doing a small thing every day. So if you feel I can't meditate for 10 minutes, try it for 5 minutes, but do it consistently. Do something that you can continue, and that will compound over time to a real big transformation and change in your life.
I love that. How to connect to and allow abundance, physical and spiritually, into my life?
Yeah, great question. I wish I had the golden bullet here for you. Then maybe I wouldn't be on this call. No. All jokes aside, no, I would actually. That's honestly true. If I was infinitely abundant, I would still do what I do because that's my purpose and passion. When we talk about abundance, we first also need to talk about abundance blockers, about scarcity mindset, because otherwise it's like just putting new paint over an old building that doesn't have the right structure. So when we talk about abundance, it's really important to identify limiting beliefs that we all have, because our current society is based on a scarcity, competitive mindset. So we all carry some kind of belief that there is not enough for everyone to go around. Even though Gandhi said it so beautiful, there's enough for everyone, but there's not enough for everyone's greed. So we need to first to really do a thorough inner inquiry of where our scarcity mindset is, what kind of thoughts we house around our own scarcity mindset, and then do some inner work to lessen the impact of those limiting beliefs.
What are some good questions, Peter, that you can ask yourself to discover what you want for your future self? Like you said, you mentioned prompts. What are some of your favorite prompts that people can use to answer that question of who they want to be?
Okay. Well, I mean, the kind of basic question is, what is something my future self would do today? And kind of tuning into that. And then usually you get a pretty obvious first response, and then to actually do that. So that's kind of a go-to prompt. Do something your future self would do today. Another question is, if you would ask your future self, what is something you did consistently that brought you to where you are? You imagine your future self is living their best life, and then imagine what was one habit that they did consistently that brought them there, right? And that maybe could have been, I stuck to my morning meditation, or, I choose to lean out of argument and start to stop when I noticed I was engaging in a contentious conversation with someone I care about. Maybe that's a practice that your future self did consistently and was able to create harmonious relationships as a result.
Beautiful. And that actually leads to another question, which I have an answer for, which is, my future self is someone who leaves my house and goes on a jog a few times a week. How do I start to make that happen? I'm physically fit, but can't seem to motivate to start this new habit. I want to invite you all to try hypno habits. I had a similar situation where I didn't want to exercise. And then I did a 19-minute hypno habit for exercise on the Unplug app. And I started exercising every single day. I used to want to be that person who rides a bicycle. And now I'm actually my future self who rides a bicycle. So as Peter said, like taking that one action step that your future self would do and just do it is a great way. But also this little hypno habits course is great. How many of you, have a quick question, are using the Unplug app now? Are you, if you could just say yes or no. I like seeing that, Angela, your hand raised, and I appreciate everybody who's also on this call with their faces, because I love the idea of connecting as a community. And Candy, and there's so many people that I see who have done our teacher training program too, who are also on this. So yes, no. Jelena, can you post in the chat for everyone a free 30 days for the Unplug app for those of them who are not using it, so everyone can be using it? I mean, we want to be able to help everyone experience this on a more full-time basis. Peter, there are still so many questions to be asked, but I wanted to see, is there anything that you feel like you want to talk about before we wrap it up, so I don't miss anything?
Well, I mean, what I'm passionate about is to point to the fact that that we live in really amazing times right now, and where there is a lot at stake. And we are the generation right now, as privileged adults who have the time, the means to have time to meditate, to work on ourselves, and to really make the best out of that privilege. And when we will look back at our lives, and that moment will come, to be able to respond to the question, how well have I lived? Or like Aldous Huxley used to say, how well have I loved? And then to be able to respond to that question. I tried my best, and with all my humanity, with all my faults, I tried my best, and I tried to leave this planet a little bit better than I found it. And I was trying to do something about the challenges that we face as a human family, to make those things, that I made an effort to make this world a little bit better. And there's no better time to do that than to do that now, because all we have is the present moment, and start to translate what we know inside of ourselves into what we actually do. And if you have a challenge with translating that, find community, find places like Unplug, or find someone else who wants to get in shape or who wants to change their habits, and do it together with an accountability partner, with a community, with a coach. And then it's much easier to actually start to build these new habits, and then together build a more beautiful world that I think we all deep down know in our hearts is possible.
Peter, I want to thank you so much for giving so much of yourself, so much time. And I really want to invite you all to discover your future self again on a deeper level on the Unplug app, and check out Peter's playlist if you want to also see your spirit animal and maybe even massage your brain a little bit. We have so many fun meditations that we've done together, Peter. And I want to thank all of you. Amy Spencer, I see your face here. I'm so excited. Thank you all so much for showing up. We're not going to end just yet. We have 5 minutes, but we really want to invite you to talk. If you want to just unmute yourself and say something, we'd love to see you and connect with you. And thank you so much for showing up. I mean, we had over 100 people today, and it's just beautiful that they're spending an hour with us in the middle of the day to experience their future self. I love that. Anybody want to say anything? Amy Spencer, we can start with you.
Thank you, Susie. It's funny. I did just want to share that it was doing a future self meditation that to spoke what you were talking about, Peter. I was having fertility issues, problems trying to start a family for over a decade. And I, at one point, did a future self meditation. And I was asking, what path do I use to get there? What path do I use? And my future self told me, there is no wrong path. You choose whichever one seems right now. It will get you there. And I was sobbing by the end of the meditation, and sort of felt so much peace afterward, knowing that I was going to end up in the end with the baby I was meant to have. And that's who I have now, my almost 3-year-old daughter, Vivian. So it was a future self meditation that gave me that peace that you talked about. And so I'm very grateful.
Oh, hi, Rob.
Hi there.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I just wanted to thank Peter because I've done his brain massage meditations so many times over the last few years, and pretty much especially in 2020, for I'd say a year and a half straight. I was seeing him every week, and I just love that. It was so helpful to me. So I'm very, very appreciative of what you're doing on Unplug.
Thank you, Rob, for saying that. Yeah, the brain massage is a special one. It's really allowing the mind, the brain to drop into this deeply relaxed state. And so I'm happy to hear that that's been helpful for you, Rob. Good to meet you.
Oh, Jess said she also loves the brain massage. If you turn your camera on, we see you on the main page. If you don't, we don't see you on the second page, but it's very exciting that we had so many people on this call. I want to thank you all. I know how important it is to be prompt. We're now at 1 minute to 1 o'clock. I hope you all have a beautiful day. For those of you who want to watch this again and again and again, you can watch it on the Unplug app. It'll be under the live calls. And thank you again, Peter Oppermann, so much. We really appreciate you. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day and that you meet your future self very soon.
Bye-bye. Lots of love, everyone. Have a beautiful day.